Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show. I'm excited to have Jeremy and Lina Romelia.
Farms. Romelia
Oh, I
Farms.
knew that. I wanted to get Farms. Jeremy Graves, Lina Graves with Romelia Farms. I've got to give a shout out to Jaime Rhude from Future Home Loans for the intro. Future Home Loans, really, we focus on giving back to the community all year long, but especially this time of year. I love it when nonprofits come on and talk about their mission and goals. And today we have Lina and Jeremy to do that. Welcome to you guys. How are you today?
Hi, Ted. How are you? So good to be here.
Hey,
So
Ted, thanks for having us.
absolutely. It's an honor. I love to spotlight, especially if it's a nonprofit that I don't know about. And the title of our show is For the Animals. And of course, Farms is in the URL scrolling across the bottom there. So I know we're eventually going to talk about one of my favorite topics. But before we do, let's learn about you. I told you before we went live that the audience absolutely loves an origin story. So if each of you can give us a little 411 on you and then maybe how you came together.
Sounds good. Go ahead.
So we going back. So we are obviously a married couple. I spent 8 years active duty in the Air Force, and Lina was actually my first employer post-military. So she hired me. So that's always a fun origin story.
That's
always
really fun.
Throw the HR bus right under the. And we worked together for a little while, and here we are back working together 17 years later. So
Love it. What was your first job out? What was it?
Worked for a little manufacturing company in Ocoee, Florida, called Teak Isle Manufacturing. So I was hired on to be the materials manager. I was a logistics guy in the Air Force, and Lina was I think the HR generalist at that point. So she onboarded me. I was a very uncomfortable 27-year-old guy sitting in a chair trying to figure out what I was doing and how I got here from spending 8 years active duty in the Air Force in a little dingy office. And then next thing, she comes around the corner and I was kind of stunned.
He was smitten already, Lina. He was smitten right away.
So I didn't know we were going down that road, but that's
no, that's what's the best thing about shows like this is exactly. I love that people love to get to know you, right? Because we're also used to giving our elevator speech. We're also used to talking so much about what we do, and people just love to get to know who you are. So that Absolutely. Is awesome. And thank you for your service. Very much appreciated. All right, Lina, tell us a little bit about you.
So with that introduction, Lina Graves here, originally from Colombia, moved to the United States about 24 years ago. I was 19 years old and moved to the United States just looking for that American dream. And I won't bore you all with the details, but a long story short, I didn't speak English. I was pregnant as a single mom and just trying to figure out what to do. And I started putting my life together, trying to figure out what I was going to do, and eventually going from washing cars down in Miami, Florida, to getting a job at McDonald's and a few other jobs in between. I worked 3 or 4 jobs at the time to be able to be a single mom, and started to learn how to speak English and became a payroll assistant at a company in Pompano Beach, Florida. And that drove me to my HR career that I then built to join Teak Isle Manufacturing as an HR journalist. And fast forward 20 some years from that, I was an executive chief human resources officer for a few different organizations and a VP of HR for one of the largest nursing homes and rehabs in the country. Of course, that was post departing Teak Isle, and Jeremy and I relationship started from there. And after all of that, and after being an executive for near 20 years, I decided that I wanted to buy a wedding venue, and my wedding venue ended up having a zoo attached to it, and that's how we ended up to the second part of that story. So I know we'll go into details.
A wedding venue with a zoo. By the way, for English not being your first language, amazing.
Thank you.
I think I know enough Spanish. Like I always joke, I do want to learn another language. I think a lot of people just stumble So you sound beautiful and perfect. So
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So a wedding venue and a zoo. That's got to be a joke from a comedian would put out. So how did that work? Exactly.
You want me to go? All right. So I'm going to tell you the start of the story from my perspective, and then she will pick it up from there. We like to tag team this story. It's very unique. So I would say it's probably this time, 2020. We're going through the pandemic and, everything else, and everything's a little crazy. And Lina starts thinking, all these people that had their weddings canceled, over the pandemic and everything, because we had another company that we had to cancel our conference for and all this. And she said, all these years I've been wanting to own a wedding venue. Now might be the perfect opportunity to do that. And I can really work hard. We're in Florida and get these brides their weddings that they dreamed of, but unfortunately got canceled. So this is, December 2 years ago. And I said, okay, great idea. We'll figure this out. It'll probably happen sometime in 2021, a little side business, something to do on the side and make a little money. Okay, that's great. Let's do it. 2 days later, she comes back to me and she says, I found it. I found the perfect place. A broker showing it to us at 2 o'clock. I think it was 10 a.m. I said, okay, I guess we're going to do this. So we go out to this farm in North Merritt Island, and we meet with the broker and meet with the previous owner, and we're checking it out. And, we look at the wedding venue, not realizing really what, we saw some horses and this and that, not realizing what this place was because we had never heard of it. And we go in and we're thinking, okay, and, we're going to do this, and let's take a look. And we come back, we start working the numbers up, and we're like, maybe this isn't the right thing for us. And we decide to pass on it. Shortly after, we got a call from a realtor friend of ours, and she said, you guys, I'm so glad you passed on that. He had that, listed confidentially for sale, and this and that and the other you would have lost because we were only leasing. We were going to buy the venue, the book of business, but we were going to lease the property back, right? And so, long story short, we were glad to be away from it, and then we learned that there were 150 animals attached to this property, and that they were all getting ready to be taken off to an auction. For the horses, that meant slaughter. For the farm animals, same difference. So we came back to the drawing board, still trying to figure out, we can't do this. This isn't something that we could ever imagine in our wildest dreams would ever be something that we could take on. So we, kind of dismissed it a little bit more. And then we learned that these animals had a date assigned to that fate. And that was January 26th, 2021. And I'll let her pick up the story from there because it gets real emotional from there.
Yeah. So for those who have seen the movie We Bought a Zoo, that's exactly how that happened. We went to tour the wedding venue. The idea for me was to have this side business. I'm an event planner. I absolutely love planning events, and the crazier and busier than they are, the better that is for me outside of my HR career. So I had this goal of owning a wedding venue for many, many years. And I thought in 2020, with all the cancellations and all the things that were happening, it was a good time to start building that. So talk about perfect time and perfect place. I did not see it that way at that point in time, but knowing the fate of the animals certainly led me to believe that. And quite honestly, the wedding venue, we have the wedding venue, but the focus became these animals. The minute I found out that the animals were actually going to go to some sort of auction where there were potentially likely most of them going to slaughterhouses and kill pens, there was that emotional distress that pushed me to maybe we can do this. I had no experience running a zoo or a farm or any of the above.
To me, that is wow.
We have a dog. We had a dogs. Yeah.
People are like, how much do you know about animals? I'm like, well, I love animals. I'm an animal lover, right? There's no secret there, but no experience whatsoever. HR executive over 20 years, working in corporate America and spending that great part of 2020 over Zoom meetings, which we were all pretty exhausted with. And I wanted to do something different. And this brought me to this. So to kind of close up on that gap where Jeremy left this story on January 26, 2021 was the day that the animals were scheduled to be shipped off the property onto whatever fate they were going to face. And I just couldn't sleep. I was distraught. I was in distress. I was trying to figure it out and woke up in the middle of the night, tears had just been flowing down my face. And I'm like, if we have the possibility to save these animals, then I don't think there is a question as to whether we should or we shouldn't. If we are able to, if we can get a loan, if we can, whatever, however we can make this happen. This went from an investment of $100,000, which is what we were looking at investing on the wedding venue, to a $2 million investment overnight. And so I turned the movie on. We bought a zoo at 3 a.m. on January 26th. And I remember the date perfectly because it's also my son's birthday. And I woke Jeremy up, and I'm just clearly sitting on the bed, crunching numbers and doing all these crazy things. And he looks at me, and then he looks at the TV, and he's like, Are you saying what I think you're saying? And I told him, I said, I think we got to do it. And next morning, we call our realtor at 6:30 in the morning and had her put a contract together and present it to the owner that we would, with bank approval, we would buy the property with the condition that none of the animals left that property that morning and that they would all stay there.
So we halted the movement of the animals, and we went down a 7-month road to acquire a beat down, run down, horrific reputation property with the intent to save 150 plus animals with no experience.
That, to me, first of all, the fact that neither of you came from an animal background, like a vet tech, or you raised a ton of animals growing up and it was just your thing, to just stepping in. I mean, that is definitely something divine, or whatever you believe in, because those doors, obviously there was that you were meant to do that. And I get choked up thinking about that, because you really did save all those animals, all the animals' lives. I wouldn't have been able to sleep either, Lina. I would have probably lost my mind. So what happened? You buy it, and then all of a sudden it's just miracle and easy to run, right?
Yeah, right. So I'll never forget the first day we walked in. We had been going to the property, obviously, throughout those 7 months to visit and to see. And the more time that we spent there, the more that we realized that the property was in disarray. The animals weren't being fed properly. They were drinking water out of a pond that was a runoff for gray water. I mean, it was all bad things that were happening there. And so the more time we spend there, the more that we're like, we got to make this happen, right? Every time we had something that told us, hey, we shouldn't do this because it's too big for us to take. We both had full-time jobs and we had all these things going on. We will go back to the farm, and we looked at these animals, and I just couldn't let them down. I couldn't do it. So on July 29, 2021, we closed on the acquisition of the property after a very, very painful process. We literally liquidated all of our assets. Again, we were going from $100,000 that I had saved to try to get started with a small event venue to now a $2 million investment. So we sold our beach house that we had up in the Panhandle. We liquidated all the assets, all of our savings, 100% of our savings, to be able to come up with the down payment to buy this property. We closed on it on July 29th of 2021. And on July 30th, we walked in there for the first time as the people who own the place, trying to answer 1,000 questions from the employees. The animals had not had food in a few days because they hadn't made the feed order since there was a transition. And my answer was yes to everything. And it was talking about drinking from the fire hose. That was the day, right?
No doubt.
That was the day. I always go back to the challenges that I faced when I moved to the United States and I didn't speak English, and it was overwhelming and it was difficult. And worked so many jobs and sleepless nights and all of that. And so you go from that to building a good life, you know, good family, kids, everybody doing well, just good life in general for us, nothing that we could have complained about. And go from that to jumping into something like this was quite overwhelming. But the one thing we knew from the beginning is that on day one, we're here to take care of these animals. And so we together sat with the team and we said, what do you need? Like that, we had a good team in place that will teach us. And that's what I told them from the beginning as we went through the acquisition is, you just need to tell me, what do you need from us? And we're here for these animals. And they knew, by then they had learned this story that the animals were actually going to auction. So they were all in and trying to help us learn what we needed to know. And here we are a year and almost a half later, having intelligent conversations about animal care and things that we never thought we would know before.
We have learned so much. And I do want to,
I can't even imagine.
I do want to go back to the point where she woke me up in the middle of the night and, you know, it was those tears running down her face. And there was no question that we were going to do this. And, you know, we decided that night that this was going to be our life mission, our family mission. And the only way to do it was to do it as a nonprofit and make it part of the community, make it something that was driven from the heart. And we have lived that life for the last year and a half and have surrounded ourselves with incredible people like Jaime Rhude and, you know, that give back to the community every day. And we have just are overwhelmed with the outpouring of support we've received from Brevard County and beyond. We've put a solid board together that is tremendous in their support, an advisory board beyond that has been absolutely incredible. We've had 2 successful galas since then. That this year we had 300 plus people at our gala that came out to just, you know, be a part of something that's bigger than ourselves. And there's no question that this was divine. You know, there's, you know, you look at this and say, how does this couple living a very entrepreneurial life and living, you know, really enjoying the fruits of our labor, right, stumble across something that changes everything on a dime? And, you know, I love, she gives speeches about this a lot, and we talk to a lot of people. And the one thing she says is, you know, we were driven a lot by the typical American success, right? That's, we're going to go out, we're going to make as much money as we can. We're going to buy a big house, we're going to buy beach houses, and we're going to go get nice cars and fancy things and high heels, and not me, her, but you know what I mean? All, you know, the nicest of everything that life has to offer. I didn't grow up with anything, neither did she. And we worked our way up, you know, from the ground up, and we found ourselves in a rat race. And she says it all the time. And it's my favorite part is that, you know, we set out to rescue these animals, but
I think they rescued us. They really change our lives.
100%.
I mean, it's very emotional, and because you can feel the
as you see tears in our eyes over here. Yeah.
Here too. You feel the compassion, and you're passionate about what you do, and it's palpable, and you're listening, and you know that I don't know how you can't feel somebody watching that it's meant to be, and that you know that isn't it beautiful to be in your purpose? I know it's not all rose-colored glass.
No, it's not.
I'm sure there's a lot of manure you have to deal with, but I feel like it is such a beautiful thing when 2 people are in their purpose. They know this is what they were meant to do and are living in it. You just can't touch that. You can't make that up, and you can feel it. All right. So as we close, tell them how they can get involved, how they can visit, how they can learn more. What is the best way for them to reach out to you all and learn more about Romelia Farms?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely check out our Facebook page. We do have, I believe, close to 20,000 followers on our Facebook page, and we're continuing to grow that. Romelia Farms is our Facebook page. Romelia Farms also on Instagram. We're on TikTok, so you also find some cute animal videos up there. Our website, of course, is the best place to find out about volunteer opportunities. We do take on volunteers to come and help us out. There is a tremendous amount of work that we have to do on the farm on a daily basis and to maintain. And of course, with the recent storms that we had, even, that tenfold. So our website, romeliafarms.org, is another way that people can reach out to us. And of course, it's a nonprofit. Donations are always welcome, monetary donations, but also blankets, towels, sheets, those kinds of things that we use for the care of our animals. We do have an Amazon wish list also on our website. So if you go to our website, that's a great place to find out about ways that you can help us. And then, of course, we are open to the public. We do horseback riding. We are a fishing farm, so we do fishing, and people can fish and take the fish home with them. We also have the petting zoo tour, which is a guided 45-minute to an hour tour where you get to interact very up close and personal with all of our animals. We do birthday parties on the property. We do field trips. And last but not least, knowing that when to the bottom of the list, we are a wedding venue.
I forgot about that part.
Me too. On a regular basis, I forgot what I went there to do. But we do have a gorgeous wedding venue on property, and we do weddings on site, and it's just an amazing experience.
And I do want to say with the weddings, the way that we have it set up is that those weddings actually go to feed those animals. At the end of the day, all the money that's brought in through weddings, we donate right back to the nonprofit, Romelia Farms Wildlife Preserve, and all of that money, everything that comes into the farm stays in the farm. Lina and I don't take any money home from this. This is a true dedication where we don't take a dime off that property. Everything goes back in, and so we're committed to this. We got into it that fateful night, and there's no turning back. It's a family adventure, and we're fully committed. We foster animals as well for Brevard County Sheriff's Office. We work very well with them. We work with different organizations, Surfers for Autism. We work with the different organizations in Brevard County and beyond that. So we're here to make this a community thing. And we do have new hours. Let me point that out, that we have new hours over the winter. We actually decided to open on Sundays. We've been closed on Sundays for a year and a half, but decided to now be open on Sundays. So we're open Sundays from 10 to 3. Mondays we're open from 9 to 4. We're closed on Tuesdays, and then we're open Wednesday through Saturday from 9 to 4. So people can come out. Lina put on a tremendous summer camp this past year, so we're signing up for summer camp right now. The kids they didn't want to leave. Sorry guys, we're closing. You got to go home. They didn't want to leave, and they kept coming back week after week to enjoy our summer camp, spending time with the animals and really learning. It was put on. The curriculum is built by Brevard County school teachers. So we really, it is a community adventure. We're here to keep it going and make it a legacy for the county, for our family, and beyond. So beautiful.
I'm so excited. I want to come out. I'll actually set something up with Jaime, and I'd like to come out, maybe record a couple of things for the show. I think what you're doing is such a blessing, and I can feel it in my bones that it was meant to be. And I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and sharing that, and to Jaime for introducing it to me. I think what you do is such a necessary, animals are near and dear to my heart. I, like you, didn't really grow. I personally wasn't involved in animals. I just at a later date became incredibly attached to a lot of animals, but I don't shovel anything, and I don't do what you do. I didn't buy a zoo, but I would love to support that zoo. And I think what you all are doing is magical and such a blessing. Thank you both so much. RomeliaFarms.org, or you can reach out to me and I'll get you to Lina and Jeremy. Thank you all so much. We'll see you soon. Merry Christmas,
Ted.
holidays. Thanks for everything.
Thank you, Ted.
Thanks.